Hi, this is Dr. Dan Ratner. Today I have someone coming on, Daniel, who is going to allow us to take him through the 4-session process of my mind-body mapping so that you all can see how it works. And I'm very grateful to him to being brave enough to do it. And coming up next, I'm going to meet with him and we're going to take a look at what happens when I help him formulate his emotions column. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I'll get back to you personally. Hi, Daniel. I wanted to welcome you. This is a first, and I applaud your bravery to come on here and just do a session right on the spot. We're meeting this morning. We've traded some emails, of course. And what I want to do first is try to set you at ease in whatever way that I can. And so what I thought I would do is orient you to how this session will go first.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So the first thing is what your role will be in this. And what your role is in this is to speak totally freely. You jump in at any point in time. If I say something that is confusing to you or you want to give me a piece of information, you go right ahead.
Okay.
That's the more the better, because my job here is to understand how your mind is working. And if I can understand how your mind is working, then I can help you figure out how to deal with the mind-body process that's in that mind.
Okay.
But the goal of these sessions is to understand your mind-body process. And I know you've had a long history with that. I read the notes that you sent me, and I'm going to incorporate that as much as possible. So here's what I'm going to do first. First, I'm going to explain how the system works. You may know some of it. You've watched some of my videos and things like that, so you do have some idea. But the gist is that we have 3 columns. And the reason I do this is I break it down into different parts of the experience because I think it's much more helpful for people to understand what then is happening. So you have some paper with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to break it down into 3 equal columns. You can just draw a line.
Okay.
At the top of the first column, you're going to put emotions.
Okay.
At the top of the second, you're going to put doubt.
Okay.
And at the top of the third, you're going to put power.
Okay.
All right. Now, typically, in one session, we're probably mostly going to get to 1 column.
Okay.
And so what I'm hopeful for is that, if this is feeling good enough to you and comfortable enough, we can have you back to do each column.
Okay.
And then ultimately bring you back for the 4th session, which is to get to the action steps in each column. What do you do about it?
Okay.
So today is just going to be about the emotions column, getting that filled out. And what we're doing is something I call a mind-body map. And it is designed to get you to a place where you can feel like you understand what's happening in this realm of the mind-body experience. So let's first start with, I know you sent me an email, but because we've got viewers here who are going to be wondering, let's talk just briefly about what your symptoms have been, and then we'll dive into this.
Okay. My symptoms, most recently, started about 5 years ago, kind of had some, what I would consider perineal discomfort, kind of started out of nowhere. And just kind of progressed to low back pain, to neck pain, to pain all over. And then after that, just a myriad of, I was trying to count them up. I know I sent you a list, but I don't know, it may have been like over 20 different symptoms here and there.
Yep. Okay, good. That gives at least the people viewing this some context of what's happening here. So here's the way the emotions column works. You already know about a lot of this. You've read some Sarno, you read Steve Ozanich, you've read a bunch of stuff. And so you understand the whole mind-body concept. And I really do want you to stop me because whenever you need to, because I do think about this in some different ways than other people, and we'll see that as we go.
Yep.
But the way the emotions column works is we know that emotions can cause symptoms. I just want to orient you to how I think about this, though. And that is that, yes, emotions do cause symptoms, but primarily emotions cause the symptoms when they first start, at the onset,
Okay.
or when there's an uptick. So let's say you're having a day where your pain is kind of mid-level and it's not so great, but then something happens and you don't even know what it is, but it just shoots way up. That's a time where we're going to use the emotions column. Is this making sense to you so far?
Yes, sir.
Good. When we get to I'm just going to explain the other columns briefly. When we get to the doubt column, that's about the chronicity of things. That's where it's like stuck in one place. It pretty much is there all the time. And that's about your thought process and whatever's going on that makes you think either you're not going to get better or this isn't a mind-body thing, or maybe there's something physically wrong, which I know you don't tend to think of most of the time, but there's occasionally times where you will. I forget, you used Sarno before to get rid of other symptoms?
Well, Sarno was kind of like the very first book that I read when I kind of got to a point where like these symptoms in my body don't make any sense. It just, there's the neurological system, and, if I had a physical problem and this pain all over, it just didn't make sense. And I happened to be on Amazon and saw this book about Sarno and back pain, and I bought it, and that was kind of how the whole Sarno thing started. So,
okay.
I don't know if, I think Sarno made me realize that there was more to it than, I don't necessarily maybe help me heal it initially much, but that he was kind of got me thinking more of the mind-body approach.
Okay, and we're going to jump back to emotion soon, but I wanted to ask, have you had some success with the mind-body work to get symptoms to change at all? What's that been like?
I have had some success. I have been able to kind of decrease a lot of the total body discomfort, as I call it, and definitely have had, I think what you're alluding to and what you said is these upticks. Those are the things that I seem to have the most problems controlling for the most part. Like I can't. It's like when it starts, it's kind of like a train off the tracks. It's kind of like okay, and then I'm gone for a little while. So,
right. But okay. Well, the emotions column is going to be particularly helpful with that. Let me just finish explaining though, because the doubt column is about these doubts that you would have, fears, confusion, questions you have, anything that leaves you not sure can perpetuate a symptom. And that's what we'll get to in the doubt column next time, in all likelihood. You might find that we're going to end up jumping around. You might say something and I'll be like, ooh, put that in the doubt column. So we're really just taking notes right now.
Okay.
The power column is about your relationship with yourself and whether you're getting to live the life that you want. And I know that in some ways you're not, because right now, I hope you're not going to mind me sharing anything you've shared. Okay.
No, sir.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure. You're on disability because of the pain.
Yes, sir.
And you really like your work. You liked working. What was it that you were doing?
I'm a nurse practitioner. I did adult and pediatric emergency medicine. So, when things kind of fell off, I was strictly doing pediatric emergency medicine and had been for like 15 years.
Okay. And you're really into it. Sounds
yes, sir.
Like you were quite good at it too. So you were driven to do the best. But then you're stuck in this position where you can't do it, and I know you're really not happy about that. So that's one of the things that we'll explore. And in the power column, when we get to that third session, you're going to find that there's some work to be done about how you are relating to yourself about it. I just wanted to lay those ideas out there. Now let's jump back to the emotions column. Here is what we're going to do. The way to use the emotions column is to find the key themes that could lead to upticks so that you have kind of a roadmap. If there's a symptom that pops up, you should be able to look back at these themes and think, which one of these is rearing its ugly head? And it's not always the case that this gets to everything, but it gives you a very good roadmap. And usually it does get to the bulk of things. So I wanted to explain the kind of themes we're going to develop here. And I'm going to help you do it. You don't have to do it by yourself. I'm going to ask lots of questions. I'm going to give you a sense of how to structure this. So the kind of emotional themes that lead to pain, first of all, they're very broad topics that are about high stakes things. As an example, I'm not saying this one applies to you or not, but for me, one of mine was, and still sometimes is, validity. You know, one of the things that went on for me is my father died when I was young, very young. I was 6 weeks old. And so I didn't have a sense of fatherhood from the start. And that affected my validity. When I channel that into the emotions column, I can have an uptick in symptoms if I'm in a situation where, let's say I come into a meeting and I want somebody to respect what it is that I'm doing or how I'm thinking about things, and I'm not feeling valid, or they're treating me in a way that's not valid. I could have an uptick in symptoms just from that.
Right.
And if I can know that that theme relates to it, that's part of how we start to get control of those upticks and onsets of symptoms. So again, I'm not saying that one applies to you, but our job is to get the themes on paper that are going to relate to you. They're broad themes, and they relate to high stakes things for you, and I'm going to help you sort this out. But they also get very specific. And the reason I say that is if you just know the broad theme, it doesn't tend to be that helpful. So as an example, I'm just going to follow the example I gave you. With validity, I could know, yes, this is an uptick. Yes, it relates to validity. But if I don't know the specifics, it doesn't tend to nail the emotional event enough to bring the symptom down. But if I'm like, this person is not only treating me like I'm not valid, they're treating me like I'm not even here.
Right.
And that's a specific thing. That's more specific. And then I could link it to, that's just like what happened with my dad. He disappeared before I was even really there. Getting at the specifics, and you'll know when it's right because the symptom then goes down if it is emotionally driven. Some of the symptoms are going to be more doubt related or power related, and when you nail the specific and you know you got it, but it doesn't go down, that's when we move to another column. So let's get to your specifics. What I want to do is start to develop some themes for you. So I could give you some ideas based on what you sent me. Before I meet with anybody, I send out these questions, which you were nice enough to take the time to answer. They give me a ballpark idea, so we don't have to spend the whole session with me getting to know you. Instead, we can get right to the symptoms. So what would you say is one of the themes that jumps out at you? And if you need help with this, I'll help you develop it. It's not a problem. Go ahead.
Well, I think one I was thinking about it. It's funny, is because I've actually kind of done some pre-work on this a few nights ago, but kind of developing the columns and those kind of things. Because I guess I've been working a little bit. But I think some of that validity topic that you're talking about was kind of something huge. I think if you look at my information that I gave you, that may be one.
Okay,
sure.
So that's broad and it's high stakes. Now we need to get it specific. How does validity play out for you?
I guess it's that for me, I mean, it's like this. I don't know if it's like a feeling of like needing to be respected, or I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do sometimes with the issues with like maybe not have gone to med school and being a nurse practitioner and not quite having the fighting for validity in the medical field for years. And it may have started sooner than that. It probably started sooner than that in childhood, but I can see that kind of playing out in my career for sure. Always feeling like, I had to prove myself and, make myself be the best at what I was, so that I could feel like I'm fighting for you to recognize what I do.
Okay, so as we go through this, I'm going to have questions. Who do you need to prove to that you're valid? I mean, it could be everybody, or it could be a specific person or a specific group of people. It could be your family. Could be society in general.
I mean, I think it's, I think it'd be family, my wife, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional here. Maybe, and just, when I was working, physicians, just that point, that working relationship, feeling like I needed them to kind of see my work and say, hey, you're doing a good job. Like, you know what you're doing kind of thing.
Okay. I want to ask a couple more questions before we write anything down, although you can always jot something down. But I try to get it into a form that really is meaningful and good. Do you think that, just from what you were saying, I was hearing a potential theme that is a little more specific version of this? It sounds like you did not feel seen for you, like for your own value.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Yes, yeah,
That feels accurate?
yes, sir. Yeah,
Because listen,
that's,
you're the one who knows, not me. But one of the things I'm good at is hearing the themes pop out at me when I'm hearing you talk. So I'm gonna say a theme back to you,
okay.
and you tell me if this feels accurate. I don't know that it will be. We're gonna have to hone it.
Okay.
So I would say a theme could be, it has been very important to me to prove my validity because I wasn't seen as a child, and I still don't feel seen as an adult.
Yeah, I mean that's right. I mean that's right on. I mean that is.
Okay. So there's one last part of it. If we phrase it that way, I want to know, and that makes you feel what? It could focus on anger, it could focus on sadness, it could focus on self-criticism. I don't know what.
I think it's it's anger. I think it's anger. I think some of it's sadness too. Maybe not feeling like I met my full potential and what I should have maybe done. And then like maybe I don't know how to phrase it, but maybe feeling like I disappointed, say my parents or something, but not have done, what they may have thought I should have done for my career or something like that.
Okay, another question. Do you feel like, and by the way, if you get emotional, that's what happens, especially in the emotions column section. People get very emotional. It's big. These are big themes. So try not to worry about that if you can help it. Because these things have been so hard. You're suffering physically because you were suffering emotionally. Yeah. So you're not going to get any judgment from me about that at all. You're going to find me to be much more empathic to you even than you probably are.
Yeah. Well, I think I have a hard time being, having any self-empathy at times. So
yeah, well, we're going to get to that in the power column. That's a power column issue. So, let's try to phrase it this way then. I feel a strong need. Let's take this down. I feel a strong need to prove my validity because I was never seen for who I am at my core. In my childhood or in my adulthood. And that made me feel invalid, angry, and sad. Does that feel accurate?
Mm-hmm. That's very accurate. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, it's not like you don't know these things about yourself, but part of what I'm doing is I get it organized in a way so that if you walk into a room and you're not feeling valid, it's not just this diffuse feeling of feeling invalid. It has a very specific component that you can understand. Yeah, that's the theme right there. So, okay, that's a theme we just developed.
Okay.
Is it making sense to you so far?
Yep.
Okay. Let's jump to another theme. What's another big part of your life experience that you feel plays a big role in your emotional life? It can be anything. And I'll help bring it out if need be. So.
Yeah, I think that the validity part really kind of stuck pretty big there. Trying to think of some other different.
Why don't I throw out an idea?
Okay.
Okay, so you described that there were times where you would get sick when you were younger, and you'd get blamed for it.
Yes, there was some
kind of
frustration.
Judged.
Yep.
Okay, so that's such a significant experience, it can't not be a theme. So basically what we're looking for is any significant emotional experience that you've relived over and over and over. So what was it like for you to get blamed for being sick?
I think it was very. I mean, it was hard. I think it was more anxiety producing because I think at that time in my life I didn't know I didn't even know what was developing in my own body at the time.
Right.
So being that young, it was just kind of like I don't know what this is, but I'm being made feel not necessarily. I always tend to have this. I don't know if they did it. They didn't necessarily. They didn't know what they were doing. Just like I'm a parent, don't know what I'm doing at times. But having that feeling of like, um, just being like I'm confused. I don't know what's going on in my body. But then also I'm being, kind of made to feel bad about it that this is happening.
Okay, so I want you to jot down two ideas. These aren't fully baked, but there's confusion about what's happening in your body. I imagine that left you scared in some way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know like at this, this total discomfort and having to vomit. And you go, it's like this is scary. I don't know what this is.
That is terrifying, especially for a kid. So just write that down. This is just notes. Eventually, we'll go back and make this map. We'll neaten this map up. But right now, it's just notes. It's going to be a bit of a mess. So confusion about what's happening in your body led to you being scared. I'm going to develop the theme similarly to how I did the first, but I just want to get the ideas down because you said two ideas at once. So there was that, and then there was being blamed for it. What was the emotional experience of being blamed for it? Did it make you doubt yourself, your own reality, your own validity? Well, I know we have validity now, but like, did it make you doubt your reality or your goodness? Or did it make you focus more on how angry you were with the other people for doing this?
I think at the time I was probably, well, I mean, I think it's, if I look back on it, I feel like I was probably more angry about it because, now that I figured out kind of like that was anxiety or what have you at the time, but it's like, of course, anxiety back then wasn't as kind of open and those kind of things that it is now. So I just, I mean, a topic that everybody talks about, but
right.
But I think at the time, I was kind of really frustrated. It's like, they don't understand, they didn't understand. It made me angry because I'm, here I am kind of being shamed for something that I have no control over or had no control over.
So I think the second theme I'm hearing mostly is about being blamed and judged, and it left you really angry. We're going to circle back and develop these more, but I got to take some notes with you. I got to have you take notes for me. Okay. So I wanted to ask though about that questioning of reality idea. Did you end up feeling like, well, maybe I don't know what's going on with me, or maybe they're right? Did you end up with doubt about it, or did you feel like they're really out of line here? I don't know which it was. Maybe it was both.
Yeah, I mean, it may have been both. I mean, I think there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in there at the time. Just like that confusion, and some, just not know. I guess the reality part of it is just not. I mean, I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know exactly what was going on. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying or not, but.
What I'm getting at is, and I'm glad you're asking the question, but what I'm saying is sometimes when people criticize us, we can have the feeling, no, I know what I know, and I'm not listening to you about it, but I'm really angry that you're criticizing me. And then other times we can say, are they right? What? Maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I mean, you were brought up in a very religious background, and they had specific ideas about things, and people could have all kinds of different ways of relating to that. Some could think, these people don't think like I do, and I'm going to have to just survive this until I can get out of this house. And then other people might think, maybe they're right. You were told that you were bad a lot of the time.
Yes.
I'm not telling you anything you don't know, of course, but since we've got people watching this, I'll bring it up just to orient people.
Sure.
You you're the middle child.
Yes.
Your older sibling, brother, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was kind of a golden child, it sounds like, kind of talked up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's great, great guy. I mean, we're good friends now, but he was kind of the guy that, well liked, the best athlete, just kind of there wasn't much
And
to say bad about him.
it sounds like he fit in more easily with the family. And by the way, none of this is meant to be critical towards any
Right.
family member that you have.
Okay.
Families are messy,
Yes.
But
Yes,
what it did to you is what I want to focus on. So, your brother is a great guy, and it sounds like he fit into the family context a bit more easily than you. And when I say that, I don't want you to be critical of yourself, even though I think you will be. I already know you well enough to know this.
Yes.
But it sounds like he fit in more easily, and I think I'm just hearing this. I don't know if I'm right, but it sounds like you blamed yourself for not fitting in better.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was frustrated because it's almost like I was like screaming for, like, hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's and no one is, and sometimes I acted out because that's the way, that's the only way I could say, hey, but I was a star, student and those kind of things in order to try to get that same, whether I was acting out or doing the right things to
Right.
get what I thought I needed.
Right. So here's another thing I would jot down as a theme. These are the rough drafts. I could not get the attention that I needed, no matter how hard I tried.
Okay.
Now, here's my question to you. Did that primarily make you feel bad about you or mad at them, or was it both?
Honestly, I think it's probably both. I mean, I think it was both.
Okay, so jot down both of those.
Okay.
That I couldn't get the attention I needed. That made me feel bad about me and mad at them.
Okay.
By the way, I wanted to ask, how has this evolved to today? Have they changed a lot, or are they kind of in the same place and you're kind of relating to them in the same way?
Honestly, I think no. I mean, I think now you would be under the kind of the pretense that that they're proud of me and that I've done everything that I'm supposed to do, or in my career, and they're proud of me, and so there's not really that, there's not really any discord, I get, or real friction, but there's also not a really, I guess there's not a lot of kind of intimate relationship either, because of some, maybe it's me more than anything, but I think that's kind of where that part of it is like it's I think putting them all at a distance, kind of like some boundary, was kind of like what I felt like I needed. But also that they weren't very active participant. Can't even say that word today. Sorry about that. But
that's all right.
But as far as in our lives and our family lives, it's kind of like, well, you come to us and when you want to, bring the boys instead of them kind of actively trying to pursue, us, and maybe that's just a hands-off approach, which is, that's just kind of what they do, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but I guess you can interpret that on both sides.
Yep. So would you say, is the distance that you feel with your family, if that's the right word, is it where you want it to be? Like, or do you long for greater closeness with your family? And it doesn't have to be just family. Do you have the closeness that you want in your life?
I don't think so. No, I don't. I don't have the closeness that I want in my family. And my in-laws and those kind of things. Yeah, I don't think. I definitely long for more.
Okay, so let's put that down as a theme too. I long for more closeness than I have. How do you then talk to yourself, if you do talk to yourself in a conscious way, but what do you think you're saying to yourself about the fact that you don't have that closeness? does it gravitate towards the blaming the self, or does it gravitate towards frustration with not only these specific people, but you could even have frustration with society, like I did. I felt like nobody understood where I was coming from, and I was just walking around feeling so frustrated that people didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of. I would say that a lot of it is self blame. I mean, I think it's because something that maybe I have done. I mean, obviously there's some circumstances and things that have happened that obviously friction in families is pretty normal, but there's still part of that where you always kind of trace it back to you. So, hey, maybe I'm the problem in all this. There's something about me that maybe they don't like, or I don't, just constantly putting that back on me.
Yes. Okay, so that's very important. See, we're getting very specific. It's not just we linked it to a broad, high stakes theme of I don't have the connection that I want in my life. That's going to hurt a lot. And now we're getting to the specifics of it, which is there's something about me. So actually, I'm going to develop this into a theme the way we did the first one.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have a better beat on this one right now. I need to ask a question first, though. What are you criticizing yourself about? What's your interpretation of what you might be doing wrong, or might be a part of you that doesn't work well? What are you criticizing yourself about? About closeness.
About closeness. Maybe. I guess some. Sorry, I guess it's the mind body thing going on there. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think some of it is that they. I'm trying to think of how to word this, but I think it's. Man, this is a good question.
And take your time with it. If we need to come back to it, also we can. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Can you rephrase it again? Because I think with that little cough, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Yep, there's the mind body working hard. Okay, so when you think about that you don't have the connections you want, it sounds like there is some story you're telling yourself about why you don't that puts the blame on you. What is it that you think you're doing wrong, or that is wrong about you? I'm not saying there is anything, because I don't think there is, but what is it you're saying to yourself about you that limits connection?
What's interesting to me in this talking about this is, I've had this conversation even with my wife recently, is like I can't figure out why most everybody outside of my family circle like me, and that I have no trouble thinking I'm the nicest, awesome guy, but everything within my circle is kind of like this, this guy that people just kind of struggle with, and I can't figure out the life of this, and I would even, that's in my nuclear family, and then our extended family too. It's kind of like not, it's just kind of weird, and I think some of that is, it's like I'm constantly like questioning, like what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong all the time that I seem to like make everybody mad, or there's always like this kind of circling back to, I must be an awful guy because if within my family or something, it's like I can't figure this out.
Okay, so let's give this a try. I'm going to say it the way I'm understanding it, and you tell me if there's anything we need to change, or if it feels right on, or it could be totally off. This has to come from something that feels resonant to you. But I think I would put it this way. I never had the connections that I wanted at the level I wanted. Is this in your family, or is this true across the board?
I would say mainly probably within my family more than anything.
Okay, so we're going to phrase it that way. This is where we get specific. So I never had the connection level that I wanted within my family.
Okay.
And I blamed myself for this, thinking I must be awful in some way if they're treating me this way. Does it feel accurate so far?
Yes.
Okay, now we have this is still a rough draft. I don't have this one as beated down as the first one. What do you think is that awfulness? I don't think it actually exists, by the way, in reality. But you live in your mind. So what do you think is awful about you?
I guess it's maybe about this. Maybe it's these expectations within myself that I feel like maybe I can't meet myself, and so maybe I can't meet everybody's expectations, or
Okay, but I'm going to help you hone this. I got questions.
okay.
Why would that then make them think you're awful? Because the self-criticism is they must think I'm awful.
Right.
What are the traits that you think you bring to the table that they would think are awful?
I mean, I know, I've had some issues with anger and those kind of things, which, I've probably at times been kind of the frustrations that that I've felt over time that, I may have kind of, I guess, put that out on others at times, or maybe there's there's that guilty part of me that feels like at times I've not performed, whether it be as a father, as a son-in-law, or those kind of things the way that I should have.
Okay, so I have two ideas that are popping to mind. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say them before I forget them. One is that it sounds like you feel that maybe your anger does this to them, that like the anger is toxic or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
But tell me if I'm wrong, though. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think, as this, sometimes I wonder, like, if you trace back when all this kind of really started about 5 years ago, it's kind of like I was very angry and frustrated about the circumstances of life. And I think it's, I was kind of fairly just unhappy, angry. This is not how I wanted my life to turn out. Everything was just kind of frustrating. And so I just, I think you're exactly right on that.
Okay, so you were worried that your anger has really caused the lack of closeness. I don't agree with that, and we're going to get into that soon. But
right.
I hear that that's kind of the theme. There's a worry. Did my anger cause this?
Right. No, that's fair.
Then the other theme that I heard was maybe I'm just too much of a disappointment.
Sorry, that one hits pretty, yeah.
Yeah. You're not right about that, and I will help you see that. That's a power column issue. We're going to get to that. But it's a very emotional one. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is you didn't have the closeness. You blamed yourself for it. And I would say the primary thing that I'm hearing isn't even about anger. It's about I'm a disappointment. Maybe the anger folds into that. So here's the way I would write out this theme. I never had the connectedness I wanted in my family, which cut deep. But I blamed myself for it because I think I was such a disappointment to them that they didn't want to be close. This is not accurate. I'm just saying this is how you talk to yourself, I think. Does that feel accurate?
Yes. Yeah, right on. I'm afraid my my comprehension to writing level may be a little behind you, so these may be a little bit uglier. I have to go back and look at it.
That's okay. That's okay, because when you read them back to me, I'll be able to shape them again. But do you want to read it back to me what you have, and we can?
So I never had the connectedness I wanted in my family, which cut deep, but I blame myself for it, for the connection I didn't have. Is that kind of what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But then the last part was, and I think that they were so disappointed in who I am or how I am that that's what led to the disconnection.
Okay.
Now, again, I don't agree with that. That's not at all how I see you. But that's a theme, and you could have a symptom pop up when you get into a situation and you feel like a disappointment. Boom, a symptom's going to come on huge there. So we're still in the process of kind of getting this organized. I wondered, are there other themes that we haven't even hit on yet that are important in your life, whether it's with your kids, in your marriage, with work?
Well, I think in the whole work thing is trying to figure out, like, navigating that part of, like, and maybe as far as just feeling like, hey, like, I'm getting better and I don't feel like I should be here anymore. And I feel bad, I felt bad and guilty about staying somewhere where I may not truly be, whether it be disabled or what have you, and trying to not, feel guilty about trying to get better and doing the things that I need to be doing to try to get better physically and emotionally. I don't know if that would be a
Yes,
good thing.
absolutely. So there's a theme of guilt
Yes.
in relation to this. How do we put it into words? And then we're going to circle back to the ones we have, and we'll probably wrap up on that for today. But how do we put it into words, your guilt? Do you want me to take a stab at it and see if that sounds right?
Yeah, no, that'd be fine. I tend to not be very to the point.
All right. We're gonna have to work on your self-criticism. I hear it all over the place. So how about this? I feel guilty about my recovery process or my pain because I'm not sure I deserve certain support. Again, I don't agree with that at all, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what's going on for you.
Okay.
Does that feel accurate, what I said?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's jump back to the ones that we already have notes on that we haven't developed into a theme. What was the second thing that we said? Can you remind me?
Sorry, my pen has started to go out on me, so I'm trying to write these down.
Of course. Classic pen.
Yeah. Trying to think. Let's see if I can read this. I may have to get my reading glasses out. But confusion that led me to being scared, being blamed for
right.
it.
About symptoms. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you probably will need to write this down below because this is a messy map so far. But let's develop this into a theme. I might say it as I had a lot of things going on in my body because of anxiety, but I had no one to help me understand that. And it left me terrified that... Now, here's where I need your help. What did it leave you terrified that? That there was something inherently wrong with you, or that it could never be explained, or that it was going to get worse? What was the fear? Could have been all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of all of it. Part of it was like I couldn't explain it. Terrified of it. Yeah.
And how did you feel about not getting the help you needed? Because you didn't.
No. I just had to live with it, and I think it's like till this day, I mean, I think it's a big thing right now is going through this is the anxiety aspect of it that, like, nobody really understands it even now.
Okay, read back to me what we have so far that I just said.
I said I had a lot of things going on in my body about anxiety that no one understood.
Or could help me explain.
Yeah, or could help me explain.
And it left me terrified that it would either get worse or that I was doomed to it.
Okay.
Okay, now those are my words, but I don't know if I'm right. I need you to I need you to weigh in and say, does that feel like it captures a part of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just now realizing in the last, I don't know, maybe year and a half or so that anxiety is probably like the biggest, kind of underlying issue, you know, right now, and trying to understand it and why I get so anxious about things that, obviously I can't control, couldn't control then. There's obviously things that scare me that I can't control now. So it's like I think it's, basically I've been in a constant state of fear for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you about, this isn't aside from the map, but it's just an important piece of understanding. One thing that I often talk about is that anxiety is a mind-body symptom, actually.
Yeah.
It's an equivalent of that. Is that something you've ever heard before?
In my studies and research and reading, what I've done so far is, they talk about anxiety being a symptom versus an actual disorder.
Yes, kind of things. And that's how I want you to think about anything that's happening in your body at all. Unless it's related to, being hit by a truck or something very, some blunt physical trauma, is going to be a mind-body experience. So that includes anxiety. It can include feeling depressed and just crappy. It can include like feelings of dread. These are all mind-body symptoms. We live them. We can feel them in our body. And the goal here is to get these themes developed so that when you have an anxiety symptom or any kind of symptom, you can say, which theme is active here?
Okay.
Which theme is going on here, and link it to something that's happening in the present. And this happens to me sometimes. I'll get anxious and I'll think, which theme is going on here? Is it, like I have another theme, which is sometimes I would, for lack of a better way of putting it, I would get abused in some way, but I felt that I was letting myself get abused, and I was blaming myself for it. I was like, I let other people walk all over me here. That could be a theme that was leading to anxiety at a given moment. And so this is how we use the emotions column. We haven't even yet fully developed all the themes, and I think what we're going to do here is now we're going to trade some emails in between now and the next time we meet.
Okay.
That are going to be about these specific themes. We're going to get them listed out. We're going to get them shaped the way we shaped a couple of them until you feel like we have a pretty comprehensive list that captures you emotionally. Okay. It's probably going to be somewhere between 8 and 12 themes. It could be a bit more, could be a bit less. But usually it's about that.
Okay.
And that will allow you to be able to pinpoint more specifically what's going on for you. So when you have an anxiety moment, you won't just be lost in, okay, well, I don't know what this is. It's interesting because what we're doing is the opposite of this second theme we were dealing with. Mm-hmm. I'm going to help you feel less confused about it all. Mm-hmm. I'm going to help you understand it. I'm going to give you exactly what you needed when you were a kid. And I wish you had had that. I wish you had had that then, because you suffered a lot and you're still suffering for it. But the good news is you can get it now. I can explain this all to you. I can get it so that it makes sense to you. And when it makes sense to you, you won't be afraid.
Okay.
And when you're not afraid, the nervous system won't be all kicked up, doing all these physical things because of it. So that's part of how this works. I just wanted to ask, because we got just a couple minutes left here today, but is this all making sense to you so far? Or do you have questions for me or, a need to take it in a different direction that's going to work better for you?
No. I mean, I think this is perfect. I think this is a great way. Yeah, obviously, when you do this type of work and you kind of get so into it that you're trying so hard to find the right the right thing. And I think in talking to you, I think it's kind of opens it up a little bit more, and it's more easily kind of dissected down, which for me is kind of, I think it's the direction I needed, because I feel like I can expressively write all just write and do all those kind of things to a point. Okay, well, I've done it. I feel a little bit better, but I still don't think I know where all this is coming from.
Yeah, I think journaling for many people is too open-ended. It's a great way to discover some things, but it's not organizing enough. It doesn't reduce anxiety or help people with the confusion because it's too diffuse. It just opens up things. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think there's a good use to it. But if we could, for those journaling out there, I think it would be great to journal and get these ideas kind of in messy form out on the paper, but then to do what we did today, some of, which is develop into very specific themes so that you don't have to go wandering around thinking, I don't know, what is this? You need organization about it.
Right.
And that's really what you were crying out for as a kid. Help me, at least in this area, help me understand what's happening. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to stop it. So I wanted to say a couple things before we wrap up today. First, I wanted to thank you because it's a very generous thing to open up to somebody, especially one that you're just meeting. There's a lot of trust that you're putting out there. It's brave. It's really brave what you're doing. And but I also want to applaud you because it's you being in your own corner. You're saying, I've had enough. I've had enough of this suffering. Help me. So yeah. I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional just hearing that. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard when you've been, beating yourself up for years and not really understanding what's going on,
Well, I understand why you're getting emotional, and actually it goes back to that first theme, because you need to be valued for who you are, and I think what you're going to find is that's a part of what I do. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to care about who you are. And that's going to be healing in and of itself. And I'm going to teach you how to do that for you so that you live your life as a much more empathic person to yourself. This happens all the time. Again, this is more power column work, how to be empathic to yourself. But to do that, we need to know the emotions column. We need to know, well, what do I need to be empathic about myself about? And how do I think about it? So we're off to a really great start. And I'm excited because this is going to bring you a lot of relief, including just the fact that you won't be so confused about it all.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think I just come to a point where I just can't, I can't do it by myself anymore. I just can't. I've just at a point where, I've been reaching out to you. It's kind of like, this is all confusing to me. I don't know exactly what's going on, and I need more than just what I can do on my own. And I'm very grateful for you giving me the time that you have.
It's my pleasure, Daniel. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to trade some emails this week.
Okay.
And we're going to get these emotional themes polished in place. What I want you to do is start thinking about the broad themes just today, because we'll probably touch base later today. Think about the broad themes that we haven't gotten to, or think about the ones we have that we didn't get to certain aspects, and just make some notes.
Okay.
And if you can't come up with anything, that's fine. It's my job to do this. Okay. I can get these articulated for you. But over the course of this week, we're going to get those articulated so that your emotions column is really nicely in order and understandable. And then what we will do is we'll set up a time to do the doubt column work and keep making sense of this. We're going to get it organized. We're going to get it so that it makes complete sense. And then I'm going to give you tools for what to do about it. How does that sound?
Good. No, it sounds great. Sounds like the direction I need to go in. And again, it's been good to meet you, and I appreciate you more than you know.
Well, thank you, Daniel. I'm looking forward to getting you the relief you need. And just right now, I want you to think about it as we're just getting information to you. Sometimes I'll say things to you about how to think about something, and that's getting information to you. But sometimes it's going to be about the organization, and I'm just going to keep getting this organized and understandable to you. And your job is to ask questions and tell me if you have doubts or fears or confusion that comes up, and we'll keep this conversation going. But I thank you for coming on. This has been great.
Yep. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right, Daniel. I'll be in touch, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It was such a pleasure to start this journey with Daniel, and this was not atypical at all. So what you saw here is a pretty typical session for what goes on. I was hoping to get even further in polishing some of those emotional details. It's a little harder when I'm filming it because I need to orient you to what is happening in this. But he and I are going to get it polished a little bit on the side so that when we come back for the second part of this, we'll do the doubt column. And remember, this is a 4-part series, so you can see each session and how it goes. Now, sometimes those sessions do go on for maybe another session or two if we need to brush up. Or you saw in the emotion session, this could bleed over into the next where we still need to polish some. He and I are going to do it on the side just so it's organized for you guys. But I was struck by a lot of things about Daniel. First of all, I think everyone can see what a lovely guy he is. He is such a goodist. So he fits the profile of the kind of person who suffers. He doubts himself. He's critical of himself. He's so good to other people, and he's so generous. One of the reasons he wanted to do this was to help out people. And I was struck, though, by what usually happens in the emotions column process, which is we were able to take those themes and then just by me asking him questions about how this fit with his understanding or how he felt about certain things, we could get it into polished statements. You saw me do it on 3 different occasions. There's some other ones that we need to really get honed, but you saw me do it where we got it down to something that if he's having an onset or an uptick in a symptom, he can look at this list and be like, which one is it? Oh, it's validity. Or, oh, it's I wasn't seen. Or, oh, it's, there's something wrong with me that's leading to lack of connection. These are just examples. But it makes it organized, and it makes it so that he can pinpoint it and get specific. When you get at the specific emotion, that is when the symptom can go down. So I'm really pleased to be able to bring you the direct example of what it's like to work with me in these ways. And I really applaud Daniel for being brave enough and generous enough to do it. And I look forward to continue working with him. So remember, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. But especially in this case, it's important to do that if you want to follow this process out. Over the next 4 weeks, you're going to be seeing the individual sessions, and I think it will be most helpful to you if you follow it right along. But obviously, however you do it is fine with me. I just want to be of help. So I hope that you enjoyed watching it, and I look forward to continuing this journey with Daniel and all of you.